Welcome to Create More Intimacy, a podcast for men. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help successful men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. Today, we're going to talk about something that most men never stop to question. Why your happiness feels like it's always just out of reach, no matter how much you do, achieve, or provide. Let me ask you this. What decides your happiness right now? Is it her mood? How much sex you're having? The balance in your bank account? Your latest success at work? Or even the number staring back at you on the scale? Think about it. If she's warm toward you, do you feel worthy? If she's distant, do you feel small? If your career is going well, do you breathe easier? If it's not, do you spiral? If she initiates sex, do you feel wanted? If she doesn't, do you feel rejected? That roller coaster isn't just exhausting. It's a trap. Because the truth is you've delegated your happiness out to your wife or to your job or your kids or your bank account or your achievements. You've put it everywhere except where it belongs, with you. And here's the part that might sting. Men are trained into this from the very beginning. Maybe you grew up believing that if you worked hard and got good grades and got into the right college, landed the right job, then you'd finally feel happy, respected, and worthy. And if you did all of that, maybe you'd even get the girl too. But then you find yourself in midlife and you've checked all those boxes. You've done the work and maybe even exceeded the goals. And instead of fulfillment, you feel lost. Instead of respect, you feel dismissed. Instead of intimacy, you feel like a paycheck and insignificant. That's because achievement can't give you what you're hoping for. Money, sex, and success cannot fix that emptiness. They can't carry your worth, and they were never meant to. And neither was your wife. When your happiness depends on everyone and everything outside of you, your nervous system never rests. Your wife feels the pressure to fix you and then resents you for it. You feel let down and angry when she doesn't. And in the end, no one wins. And if you're honest, deep down, it feels like you're owed something. Like you've done the work, you've put in the effort, you've checked all the boxes. So why doesn't this all add up to love and respect that you want so much? That's the cycle we're breaking today. Because the truth is you will never feel steady in your marriage, you will never feel close to your wife, and you will never feel respected until you stop outsourcing your happiness. This is episode 25, Why Money, Sex, and Success Won't Make You Happy. I want to share a story from a recent client. Like many of you, he is hardworking and a very successful man. He provides well for his family. And he's present with his kids, and he does more around the house than most of his friends. And on paper, he's checking all the boxes. But here's what he admitted to me. None of that erased the ache he felt when his wife pulled away physically. He told me, I'm doing so much, and I'm not getting my physical and sexual needs met. It feels like rejection over and over. Sound familiar? What he didn't realize until we dug in was that he had turned sex into a transaction. His mindset was, well, I provide, I take care of things, I do all of the work, so she should give me sex in return. Now, he didn't say it in those exact words. Most men don't. But when he described how hurt and resentful he felt, that's what was underneath. He was measuring intimacy like an exchange rate, his effort for her body. And that's when I said the hard thing out loud. Yikes, do you hear how transactional that sounds? And here's the thing, he did get it. He admitted it stung to hear, but he knew it was true. And for the first time, he could see how much of his worth he had delegated out. He wasn't just outsourcing his happiness to his wife. He was outsourcing it specifically to her body. And that is a heavy burden for any woman to carry. And it's a setup for constant rejection for him. Because when sex becomes proof of your worth, every "not tonight" lands like a verdict. The one that says, you aren't enough. He had never considered that his wife might feel the pressure of that unspoken transaction, that she could sense the expectation and obligation. And when intimacy feels like obligation, desire shrinks, connection shrinks, and nobody wins. The powerful shift came when he realized that sex wasn't the real issue here. The real issue is where he had placed his happiness and worth, which was outside of himself and squarely in his wife's hands. Now, maybe you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, I know that feeling. You may have not said it out loud, but deep down, you felt the same sting. You've given everything you know how to give, providing for your family, showing up for your kids, taking care of the house, and yet you still go to bed at night feeling rejected. Maybe you've had that moment where you reach for her and she turns away, or you've sat there wondering if tonight will be the night that she leans in, or if you're going to be left lying awake feeling like you don't matter. Or maybe it's bigger than sex. Maybe you've realized that your happiness has been tied to things you can't control, like your boss's approval, your wife's mood, the number in your bank account. One good day and you feel 10 feet tall, but one bad day and it's like the ground disappears underneath you. That is the cost of outsourcing your happiness. It makes you unstable. It keeps you chasing, and it leaves you angry and resentful when the people around you don't pay up in the way you think they should. And if you're really honest, some part of you probably believes you're owed it. You think things like, I've worked hard, so I deserve respect. Or I've provided, so I deserve intimacy. I've done the right thing, so I should feel happy by now. But here's the truth. Life doesn't work like a vending machine, and you don't put in effort, pull a lever, and get love, respect, and intimacy on demand. And your wife isn't the manager of your happiness account. When you live that way, she feels it. She feels that pressure, that scorekeeping, and that obligation. And instead of drawing her closer, it pushes her further away. Here's the thing. I want you to understand that I know you come by this pattern honestly. Almost every man I coach has been conditioned into this since boyhood. Think back. As kids, most boys are handed the script. Work hard, achieve, provide, succeed, and then you'll be happy. And then you'll be respected. And then you'll get the girl. It starts with grades in school. You learn that if you perform well, you'll be praised. If you slack off, you're shamed. It continues with sports and jobs and promotions. And the better you perform, the more applause you get. And eventually, that belief hardens. My value depends on what I produce, what I achieve, and who validates me for it. So, of course, by the time you're married with kids, you're running that same script. Provide well, show up, do everything right, and surely she will respond with affection, appreciation, sex, and connection. Right? Somehow, it doesn't work that way. Because love and intimacy don't follow the rules of achievement. They are not transactions. They are not prizes to be earned. They can't be pulled from your wife like a reward. And here's what happens when you keep trying. You keep grinding harder at work, hoping she'll notice or your boss will. You keep pointing out what you've done around the house, hoping she'll appreciate it. She doesn't. You keep reaching for her body, hoping it will prove that you are worthy and wanted. But underneath, your worth is still outsourced. It still lives in her hands, in your boss's approval, in the next achievement, which means it can be taken away in an instant. That's why so many men find themselves in midlife feeling lost and disrespected. They've spent decades chasing the external validation of happiness, only to realize the finish line never comes. And it's not because they haven't achieved enough. It's because happiness and intimacy were never supposed to be outsourced in the first place. The good news is this pattern can be changed. I've watched it happen. When men stop delegating their happiness, when they learn how to hold their own worth, everything shifts. They become steadier. Their wives feel safer. Intimacy starts to grow again. Because when a man no longer comes to his wife like a customer demanding service, but as a partner offering connection, the whole atmosphere of the marriage changes. When a man keeps outsourcing his happiness, the marriage starts to bend under the weight of it. At first, it may not even be obvious. You're just going about your life, showing up, doing what you do. But underneath, she can feel the unspoken pressure that her smile, her touch, her mood has the power to make or break your day. It shifts her role from partner to regulator. Instead of being able to show up authentically, she starts to wonder, if I don't meet his needs, will he spiral? Will he sulk? Will he pull away? Will he get angry? And it's a subtle shift, but it changes the air in your home. I talked about this back in episode 22. Go back and listen to that one if you haven't. In that episode, I talked about men leaning on their wives as their main source of entertainment, as their way to avoid boredom or loneliness. This is a close cousin to that. When your wife becomes the keeper of your happiness, she feels that same pressure, the weight of being your everything. And no one can thrive under those conditions. Here's how it usually plays out. At first, she might try to bridge the gap. She might be more affectionate, put in extra energy into the relationship, or even give in when she doesn't feel like it. But she's already stretched thin. She has her own work, the kids, family demands, her own emotions and needs to consider. And carrying yours on top of all of that quickly becomes too much. Over time, she starts to pull back, and it isn't because she doesn't care. It's because she's exhausted by that expectation. You notice the distance and react, and maybe you get angry. Maybe you retreat into work or hobbies or just silence. Maybe you start keeping score. The cycle deepens. She feels more pressure, you feel more rejected, and intimacy shrinks. This is the quiet unraveling so many men describe when they come to me. They're not just complaining about the lack of sex or affection. They're describing what it feels like when the marriage can't carry the burden of their very own worth anymore. And here's the part that hurts. The very effort you thought would hold the relationship together, that providing, showing up, doing the work part, that can turn into fuel for disconnection when it's tangled up with the expectation that she should make you happy in return. So, what happens when a man stops outsourcing his happiness then? I've seen it again and again in the men I coach. The entire atmosphere of the marriage shifts. And it isn't because the wife suddenly changes, it's because he does. Instead of walking in the door scanning her mood to decide whether tonight will be a good one or a bad one, he walks in steady and grounded, and he knows who he is before she even says a word. Instead of lying awake wondering if she'll roll toward him or away, she's able to rest in his own sense of worth. Her choices don't define him anymore. And here's what usually happens when that shift takes place. His wife notices, and she feels the pressure lift. She can finally exhale. Instead of feeling like she has to manage his emotions, she can relax and show up as herself. Instead of the connection shrinking, it starts to expand, because intimacy can't grow in obligation, but it thrives in safety. I've had clients tell me that their wives looked at them differently, more curious, even drawn in, when they stopped coming to her with that unspoken transaction of, "I've done all this, now you owe me." And here's the irony. When men stop chasing validation, they actually get more of what they wanted all along. More warmth, more respect, more connection. But this time, it's not because they demanded it. It's because they created the safety where it could grow. This is the difference between walking around resentful, waiting for someone else to make you happy, and showing up already full, already clear, and already grounded. One drains the marriage, the other one makes it magnetic. So let me ask you, where are you delegating your happiness? Is it in your wife's mood, her affection, the number on your paycheck, or the number on the scale? Is it in the way your boss speaks to you, or whether your kids notice all that you do for them? Think about how many times in just a single week your sense of worth rises or falls with things outside of you. She smiles, you feel wanted. She pulls away, you feel small. Work goes well, you breathe easier. Work hits a snag and you spiral. The whole rhythm of your life is set to everyone else's tune. That isn't happiness, that's dependency, and man, is it exhausting. And there's a cost. Every time you outsource your happiness, you give away your power. You give the reins of your life to someone else. You set your wife up to carry a job she never signed up for, and you set yourself up for resentment. You might think this only shows up in the bedroom or in your arguments, but I promise you, it seeps into everything. It's in the way you walk through the door at night, scanning her mood before you even say hello. It's in the way you drop subtle hints about what you've done, hoping she'll notice, appreciate, and reward you. It's in the way you second-guess yourself after a fight, wondering if you're ever going to be enough for her. And maybe the hardest truth of all is this. You've been sold a story since you were young, that if you worked hard, achieved enough, and provided well, stayed in shape, then you would earn love, respect, and happiness. You did all that. You kept your side of the bargain. And yet, here we are, feeling empty, feeling disrespected, and feeling rejected. That isn't because you're broken. It's because that story is untrue. Happiness was never meant to be outsourced. Intimacy was never meant to be a transaction. Your wife was never meant to carry the burden of proving your worth. So here's my challenge to you. Don't rush past this episode. It's uncomfortable, but sit with it. Notice where you've been outsourcing your happiness. Notice the ways you've been keeping score. Notice the subtle expectations that leak out when you interact with your wife. And then ask yourself, what would it look like if I didn't delegate out my happiness anymore? If I walked into the room already grounded, what would that be like? What if I stopped waiting for her to prove my worth and started owning it for myself? that's where real intimacy begins. Not in demanding more, not in achieving more, not in keeping score, but in becoming the kind of man who no longer hands his happiness away like loose change. Because the truth is, your wife can love you deeply, but she can never be the keeper of your worth. That part is yours alone. Take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.